I'd like to call to order Meriwether County Board of Commissioners work session in conjunction with the Meriwether County Water and Sewer Authority. Please stand while the invocation is given by Meriwether County Water and Sewer Authority Chairman Kenneth Murphy, followed by the pledge.
Let them go in session first for their meeting.
Okay,
Let them go in session first.
calling work session of Meriwether County Water and Sewage Authority to order. You have an agenda here. I'd like to adopt it. If y'all have any changes, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda we have.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Got a motion to have a second. All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Okay, let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and thank you for all these people that are here together to discuss future and the business of Meriwether County. We ask that you give them the wisdom and knowledge to make the right decisions here today for the best of our entire county. We ask that you be with them as they go through this meeting and then travel home and give them safe travels. In Jesus Christ's name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, I'd like a motion to adopt our agenda. Any changes to it? Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor? New business, discussion regarding the water and sewage authority's direction on infrastructure development within Meriwether County.
Okay, thank y'all for having it going. We'll break this. We wanted to look into the future of what direction Meriwether County needs to go with the water authority. And if you look at the municipalities within the county, the southern end has a pretty good source of water. Although Manchester, Warren Springs, and Woodbury has a source, but the northern end of the county is sort of dry. And we need to get some water up there because Lutherville is basically buying water from us now on emergency situation from the city of where we're buying from the city of Hogansville. So we're gonna present y'all some plans here that we think to get them water and get water throughout the county. We've talked to several different sources of points of getting this water. And they'll discuss that in the drawings and meeting of our engineer. One of those sources is from getting it from Woodbury, which Woodbury gets theirs from Lake Meriwether. Now, we have a legal question, is that Meriwether County is already water or is that city of Woodbury water that we have those.
I've never been asked.
I can answer that for you.
Okay.
Okay, so Meriwether County owns the property. Meriwether County owns the lake, but Meriwether County does not own the water because in the years past, and this is what I've been working on looking into, I was going to ask y'all today, I discussed it with Commissioner Snelson, but since you went straight off to that right off the bat, I'll go ahead and bring it up. We need either y'all or we'll get John in the county, but we need to get with EPD and apply for a withdrawal permit. Okay. And the reason we need to do that is because City of Woodbury has a withdrawal permit. Then they went in there and increased it while Ron was the mayor to 750,000 gallons a day, even though they're not using but 150 per day. But the EPD permit they have says 750,000 gallons per day is what they're allowed to pull off of there. So what we need to find out, or the Water and Sewer Authority needs to find out, is how much water can be taken from Lake Meriwether max volume. Example, let's say they're getting 750,000, they can withdraw 750,000 gallons, but they're not doing that. Let's say there's another, I don't know, 750,000 more, or another 10,000 more gallons per day that can be, we need to be applying for that permit right now, ASAP, because if not, the city of Woodbury can go and apply to increase again when they're not even using that amount. So if we have that withdrawal permit, it doesn't mean you have to use it now. It means once we're issued that, it gives us two things. It gives the Water and Sewer Authority the availability to know how many gallons that they can pull off that lake for future coming this way. And also, City of Woodbury decides or somebody decides going to do some kind of major development, they could be getting all the water from the lake that we're responsible for. If that dam was to blow, or if the Corps of Engineers said we had to go out there and the county had to do this and do that, spend $1 million on it, City of Woodbury is not going to pay for that. That's going to come out of the taxpayers' money. And the City of Woodbury is not even having to pay us for the water. So we own the property, we own the lake. They can pull up to 750,000 gallons a day, and it's not even no kind of payment to the county, but yet they're the ones that own the water treatment plant for the water. So my suggestion was to be later today, but like I said, you jump right in there for me and open that door. So I would love to see y'all start applying or get with John, but I would like for us to be applying with EPD for a withdrawal permit from Flint River and a withdrawal permit from Meriwether County Lake.
Okay, so we have discussed with them, we have discussed, or are having discussions with both CADA and the city of Griffin, which they get theirs out of the Flint River at the reservoir in Pike County. So there, John will explain several different points of where we can get extra water for that northern end part of the county. And so I'll just I'm just want to give y'all a brief introduction of what we're thinking about. And I'll turn it over to John and he'll give y'all more details.
And if I can say one more thing, since we talk about that withdrawal permit, even if we do have sources from other reservoirs or from the county from here, we still need to be applying for that withdrawal permit. If we don't do them but store it away in the county safe to where you never know where all of a sudden they don't want to give us water. Maybe one day we'll be able to develop our own water treatment plant and be able to pull off the Flint River.
I totally agree with that.
Yes, ma'am. Meriwether County, that's Meriwether County's property, and
County does.
and we maintain the property, and Meriwether, the Meriwether Lake Authority or Board, over.
What type of fish you put in there helps maintain?
I don't know. You might be able to answer that.
I think somebody needs to find out the original agreement from when the lake was built.
We go out and look at it. That's the first. I just know that the county owns the lake, but I have no idea what water's withdrawn from it.
I can explain to me the water that in a big lake like that, even in any other county, that water is like an international water or a national water. So if somebody, if City of Noonan wants to go get a withdrawal permit to pull off a big major lake, they can apply with EPD. If it's issued to them, they can do it. So that's why we need to focus on that.
So John with Carter Sloop, he's our engineer, and he'll take it over. This one.
Good afternoon. My name is John Stover. I'm the Carter Sloop Consulting Engineers. We're doing some engineering work with the Water Sewer Authority. Their meeting, the 2 meetings ago, we kind of got into some discussion about this. Everybody knows what issues Lucasville's had with their ability to, as they've expanded, added some subdivisions that are outside their municipal area. They've allowed them to tie into the water system, and they don't have enough water available from their wells to produce enough for the demand that's there. So we're also assisting them in the short term with that. Part of what we looked at without a lot of direction, in specific so far as walls out. So obviously Hoganville's providing water to the Meriwether County Water and Sewer Authority. They've got some heavy demands on their side. They've made it known that they're having to look at expanding for the future on their side with Amazon and some other things there. Troop County and LaGrange the same way, coming back to Greenville. In far south end of the county, do have some springs, some available water there. But Griffin has Still Branch Reservoir, which is located just on the other side of Yale, on the other side of the river there, which provides most municipalities in Pike County water, provides Griffin with water, provides the County Water and Sewage Authority with water through their agreement with Griffin. And supposedly, I haven't seen the document yet, I requested it, but Meriwether County has part of that as a water purchase agreement with Griffin on the Soul Branch Reservoir. Now, obviously, you don't have a minimum buy, because otherwise we get a bill like Coweta County Water and Sewer Authority gets to take a minimum of 3 million gallons a day. So it's a take or pay. So if they don't even buy the 3 million and use it, they're still paying Griffin for 3 million gallons of water a day, every day. I think they've gone a couple times to court trying to get out of that and been unsuccessful, but Griffin just sent within the last, 2 weeks or so, John? Updated wholesale water rate, to the county,
Yeah, the ordinance.
like 475, 476 thousand. So growth is, as you know, is happening all around y'all. And part of my discussion with the authority was, well, what are we looking to supply water for? Doing all this is just math on our end at the end of the day, but what is the demand? What is the appetite for future growth in Meriwether County? And I said, that's really a question more for, the board. Having that ability, it's one thing to be able to put a bunch of pipe in the ground. It's another thing to be able to produce the water that goes into the pipes, whether you're either producing it yourself or you're buying it from another municipality. And so, Coweta County, this is just a rough map. This is not what we're proposing you do. These are options that are out there about just showing how water will be moved around in the northern end of the county from available sources. The one map is just plain over the GDOT, so it's a little easier to read. The other one is over your current comprehensive plan from the mapping of your land use from your own current comprehensive plan that goes through, I believe, 2043. 2043. But I've seen plenty of comp plans in the last 30 years that are there because they have to be submitted to the state and nobody follows them, and for good or for bad. Some are rigid to them, some will change zoning like that, and it's not really much of a guide. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that the Water and Sewage Authority knows the answer to that. So I specifically asked them, what is the appetite of the elected officials about growth? What are they wanting to see? How are we looking at planning for the future of Meriwether County as a whole, but very specifically this northern end that has a little less access to water. Now I say access to water, they have access to other systems that have water. We showed 2 connection points where Coweta County Water and Sewage Authority could provide water. They've indicated that they will be happy to provide water, but I know in my discussions with them, not official necessarily, but they're very much going to be like Griffin in that they're not going to want to be a backup source for Lucasville. They're not going to be a backup source for Meriwether County. They connect to you, they're going to want you to use water. And there's probably going to be a minimum purchase amount every month that's associated with that. Now, it might not be as stiff as the one that Griffin and Coweta County have between each other, but I think they're looking for some direction. I'm looking for some direction to them. If the answer is everybody's good and we're fine, that's okay too. I just asked them that they needed to start looking to the future and planning now for things that almost really need to be planned for way back when. So, I think I don't want to speak for the board, but I think this is their opportunity to start asking those questions of the elected officials. Where do y'all see things going? So I'm not expecting y'all to have the answer today and tell me, well, this is what we're doing and go here and do that. It's just about having those discussions and getting this moving forward. So
I myself, I could tell you, I think we need the water for restaurants, industry, shopping centers. So our constituents and citizens here don't have to go all the way to another county. I also know it takes growth to get those to come here too. But I personally, from my area, my district, and listening to folks, I don't think they're ready for running water down and then have subdivision after subdivision after subdivision and just destroy the north end of Meriwether counties. It's not so-called rural life, but nice, relaxed country life, and not just turn it into Peachtree City or Coweta to now it takes 45 minutes to go from here to the red light in Sonoa. But I do know we do need the water. The water is a necessity, but I don't know how you run water to get restaurants, commercial property and so forth without somebody wanting to tap into it and do the subdivision too. So, that's where the planning coming in.
Right, and that's very much what I got to them was, that can be controlled through proper planning. And if you're not, if
Yeah,
you're
we
not
can work on
allowing
that.
it, I used to work a lot for developers before I got into the municipal side of things, and I know what they're looking for. They're looking for the least amount of infrastructure I can put in, the most amount of lots I can sell, and that's the way the magic happens. But if the zoning doesn't allow for that, then that can control it. But it has to be known up front because they're gonna be knocking at the door if they know there's a 12-inch water main running down the state route between two towns.
Right.
And they have accessible land there. They're not gonna care that it's going to finally put some more commercial in Lonoke or Luthersville.
That's right.
Or even some more in Allenton. They're gonna say, well, no, this is opportunity for us to put stuff here, and then all that commercial growth will explode as the residents.
Well, I mentioned a while back, and we haven't pushed it in planning and zoning, and the board hasn't really discussed it, but like you said, to plan ahead and zone for that. That's the reason I'd like to see it stay to a minimum, like right now it's 2 acres. That's what it is, it's what it's been. I'd like for it to either stay at that or 3. If someone were to come in and develop, even though we got water, they would know they still can't go less than 2 acres. That leaves greenery, that leaves trees, that keeps it from being just cut up and you just see rooftops as far as you can see. And I personally, and I don't mind staying where I stand, I would never vote for that as long as I'm sitting up here in my district to have just rooftops after rooftop. And I'd be wanting to set it to where, you got an entrance that goes in and it goes parallel and you got to leave so much green space and trees out front. And counties are starting to do that too. I've seen some of their developments. You really don't see it until you pass the entrance, and that's nice. But a lot of people want to come down and clear cut all the timber and there ain't a tree nowhere, then build it up. And then you're looking at nothing but, shingles and hardy plank. And as long as I'm sitting here, I'd never vote for that.
Sure.
But I do want the water. So that's why I said, how do we solve
Some
that?
initial discussions, Luthersville has been one thing that's brought that up because the authority and Lonoke have both worked hard to provide them with an emergency connection to be able to provide some water to help them through right now. But even at the industrial park, when, Miss James and them bring in another prospect, even outside of the park, but adjacent to it in the areas that are kind of shown on the comp plan as this, what is it called again? Potential growth areas along 54 right there. The big holdup is going to be water and sewer. And right now, they're limited to 250,000 gallons a day from Hogansville, which, essentially one good industry could eat that.
Oh, yeah.
In no time. And they've been fortunate or unfortunate. Fortunate that the demand hasn't hit them super hard yet. Unfortunate in the fact that they need some demand because they need some revenue too. But we know that Hogansville is having issues because at times Hogansville has asked them to try to cut back on the water usage because this Amazon thing has been using up a lot of water during construction
They
and
can't-
well afterwards. So
They can't supply us with 250,000 gallons today.
Right.
even though there are agreements there. So we're just trying to look to see.
And we do need more industry up there. We need more jobs. We need more tax base, and we got to have the water for that. So I agree. Now, looking on this map right here, it shows Woodbury. I guess that assuming we'd pull out of Woodbury and go feed out of Woodbury with water.
Well, there's options and this is again, a starting point, this map, not exactly, we're not showing tied to a specific 8-inch line at the end of Woodbury system, et cetera. We're kind of close to where we pull from Lake Meriwether. The Griffin example, the water's right there where Griffin's driveway comes out on the Flat Shoals Road right there, and then turns right, go to Concord and Zebulon, and back on into Griffin. And so for the ease of showing these connections and the distance between, we went from the center point of most of these communities to the next one, even though we may be having master meters tied into systems, but it would also depend on whether the systems want to be tied into it.
Well, the reason I was asking that, and I'd like the Water and Sewer Authority Board Authority to look into this. We're going back again, talking about how much water City of Woodbury has a withdrawal permit. Now, that would really be a spur in the saddle if all of a sudden we pulled a line out of Woodbury to come back through the county, and now City of Woodbury is charging us for every gallon, but yet they're pulling water from our lake. we need to make sure we're addressing that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We need to address that before that day ever comes. It may not come for 10 years or 20 years. It may come in 5. But I'd hate to know that our taxpayers, we own the property, they go and then increase their water withdrawal permit up to
The maximum they can.
the maximum, so we don't even get a permit. And now we want to come out of there, and they probably would need us to help them with a water treatment plant to bring it up to par. But they're going to charge Meriwether County so much a gallon, like everybody else is going to charge, and charge a contract on it. And they have no liability on the lake. So I think that's something that the Water Authority really needs to be working with John or whoever. That's above my pay scale.
Is there any way we can look into any type of agreement from way back when
There's nothing.
there's absolute?
I'm sure there's something when the lake was
We
built.
could really hone in on that, so. And if not, that, we might could get a permit. I don't know how much that reservoir will even yield. 750 is kind of shallow too. I mean,
Well, you'd have to get with EPD first and find out what's the max it can pull off Lake Meriwether. All right. And then, I don't know who, I know Theron knows how to do the paperwork. And, if he was originally going to start on that, and then everything changed and he retired and so forth. But somebody would know how to help get that, paperwork going to the state and so forth. We can get one. They're not going to deny us one. It's just a matter of someone's got to get the ball rolling, do the paperwork, and submit it, and find out how much can we withdraw from Lake Meriwether.
Who is the agreement with?
What's that?
The agreement y'all are talking about is between the county and Warm Spring?
EPD state.
So in theory, it should be in the minutes, but
Say what?
in theory, the agreement should be in the minutes.
The only one that probably knows about that would be Robert Levin, and he's not around anymore.
Well, I'm saying the agreement should be said. It doesn't matter what somebody remembers about it. I mean,
Right.
we need.
You would think.
It's supposed to be in the minutes,
The
yeah.
other thing is, any water we buy from them still gotta be processed through their plant. We don't have a plant.
I understand that, but we don't want to make sure, we're not paying the top dollar that they would charge some, I mean, it's got to be a give and take situation. All of a sudden, I remember since I've been on the board, I don't know if y'all remember, at first there was a discussion about whether they were fixing to make us do something out there to the dam or some concrete walls and then for some reason they decided that it's fine for now. But like if they come out and tell the county, you got to go out there and spend $800,000 or $1.5 million on that dam and so forth.
That's when they were trying to think of raising the level of the lake,
Okay.
and that would require raising the dam and a whole lot of other dirt work, because you got the big area over past the dam, it's the overflow
Right.
spillway. That would all have to be raised to the same
But
level.
if all that was done, that'd be the expense of the county and not city of Woodbury.
Yeah,
but they would.
That's my point. That's my point. We can't just put all that money in there, spend all that money, but then the city of Woodbury turn around and charge us for water. It would have to be an agreement where they would be participating in the cost if that ever takes place in the future.
well, I think the city of Woodbury takes a different view.
I know.
But I mean,
But I don't mind talking about it here in the
some
big,
kind of
I'm telling you.
agreement.
Well, if there's not an agreement, I mean, if nobody has the agreement, then there is no agreement, but I would assume EPD has the agreement if the county can't find it. And if Woodbury benefits from it, then they should have a copy, but I mean, if nobody can produce a copy of an agreement, there's not gonna be an agreement based upon what so-and-so remembers.
No,
That's just not how it works.
The last time Ron Garrett was in office before he went out, he had it increased to 750,000 gallons. They have it in their file, EPD withdrawal up to 750,000 gallons a day.
Garrett,
So,
He did it as the mayor of Woodbury. He had it, they already had one, but he did the paperwork to get it increased.
But what we don't have is an agreement between the county and Woodbury about who pays for who's what.
So John, John, do you have that in the notes here to either county staff or attorneys investigate and find the answer to this? So, okay.
I mean, I've been waiting.
Yeah, probably before I was even born, probably, yeah.
But they're trying to look for it too, back when it first came on board 3 years ago. And he said-
If I did it, I mean.
No, I'm saying, he said way back, they built the lake, but he couldn't find anything.
That's what I'm saying, like, if nobody has an agreement, then there's no agreement.
That's why we need one.
I reach out to you to start fresh.
Sir?
I reach out to
Well,
you.
we got,
Yeah, they would have it on their file
we
for
need to
sure.
make sure, I mean, if EPD doesn't and the county doesn't have it.
Well,
They're the two parties to the agreement. If Woodbury, if nobody can produce the agreement, then there is no agreement. What I'm saying.
but the other thing is the excess, what Woodbury's not using out of Lake Meriwether is not gonna make a dent into what we need in the northern end of the county.
And you talk about.
No, I'm just bringing it up as part of this meeting today
Water
for y'all to be addressing it.
Both places. And, you know, I mean, when you stand at Lake Meriwether and see what's coming out the spillway, you can't vision there's much more excess than what's coming out the spillway. That's it. So we got to look and we gotta commit to do any of this. There's gonna be a strong financial commitment that the county's gotta make. We're probably gonna have to do something this vast. We can do it in phases, certainly. But we're gonna probably have to do it with grants from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And then at best, that's gonna be a 50% grant. So we're gonna have to come up with probably somewhere between $8 and $10 million to start this thing. So,
And aren't y'all with authority, aren't y'all able to get some kind of bond? How much you get a year
Well,
how much do y'all get a year
the bond we have now is a revenue bond.
how much do you get from the landfill per?
We get $1.46.
No, I'm talking about what's the total numbers for people watching and listening?
We get about $250,000 a quarter. 174,000 that has to go to paying our bond payment.
So you already have one bond payment.
Right, the bond we have now is a revenue bond.
Yep.
And the only way we got that revenue bond is with the intergovernmental agreement between us and the county of how much of the tipping fees we get.
Well, it's not that I don't think we would not want to. It's a timeline of when and how with other things we got going on. But at the same time, what kind of growth are we?
Future growth.
Well, I'd like to be able to finish the question at least. I mean, I've been listening to everybody and I can't do that, I guess. Okay.
Well, you know, it's gonna take a financial commitment. And I don't know what that's coming.
It's.
Well, I was gonna try and explain it, but
One of many meetings.
because I just turned my
have.
microphone
yeah.
off.
It's one of many meetings that we need to have and we're not asking for a total commitment today. We just want y'all be aware of the possibilities of what we want to do.
Why do you need the commitment? Is it, are our current citizens, can I finish the question, please? I'll listen to every one of y'all finish everything you said. Are our current citizens asking to be put on city water? Are we having businesses actively deny coming to the county because they can't get enough water? Do we have residential growth that we want to see that the cities in the northern end of the county are asking for, which is why we need this water? And then what is the cost per mile to install this pipe to one of these places, which we're going to have to incur that cost. That's what y'all are here getting us to plan for. And what is the tax revenue need to be generated to overcome that cost? We need answers to all of that too. Because we can't just plan and say, well, we want to do when, like, in less than a 5-year plan, we've got a good plan going and activities to have all of the county buildings up to modernized and special and all the roads back to 100% paved. Don't want to enter into something for, there's not an urgent need and people are suffering for the next 5 years until we get that completed up to speed. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. The reason we're here is to find out those figures that you need. We need to do some further study. We need some money. We need to spend some money on that.
To do the study.
Do the study.
Gotcha.
And we don't need to go no further if y'all gonna say, no, we're not interested at all. So that's why we're here today, is to do a further study.
That's why I say if without some of those answers, we don't know how aggressive we want to be in this process.
I'm saying that totally too.
Without that, I'm telling you, I'm not wanting to be aggressive at all because I don't know what the cost is and what the recovery of that is. And then, but so I agree. If that's what y'all looking for, we can do that.
Yeah, we just want a preliminary agreement that, yes, we're willing to look into this. And if y'all spend a little bit more money and give us some more detailed figures, then we'll make a final decision at that point.
So we're not asking for any money right now. We
Right.
do have some money in the account that we can spend on some of these studies,
Right.
but we don't want to waste that money. So that's kind of getting the feel of the commissioners, And to answer a lot of your questions, we need some of those studies.
Okay.
performed.
No, that's great.
So it's kind of like some shadow box in here.
Well, and you know, another thing I'm seeing is you got a commitment with Hogansville. And then talking about Coweta, they don't want to just be the backup. They want to be the supplier for Luthersville. So, you know, if you already got a commitment with Hogansville, if they're not going to honor that commitment, honor the gallons, maybe you go to Coweta and get all your water from Coweta.
But they'd have to run a pipe.
Yeah, I understand that, but then you come through Luthersville with it and
Yeah, that'd be the first thing we could do for,
And, you know,
it'd be a fair amount of money, but it'd still be reasonable.
it wouldn't be a quick process.
it'd be a lot better than running from Lake Maryville up there.
Well, what agreements do we have if we spend $8 to $10 million on a pipeline to go into Coweta County and solve this problem tomorrow? That Luthersville is not going to approve 15 subdivisions to go in and tap into it, and then we're at the same place again.
They shut that.
Two things, Mr. Paul. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, but we need you to state your position and your name and stuff for the minutes. That didn't get, just so, no. It's just we're all having a good time. It's like a relaxed meeting. And I thought about it a while ago, but everybody was going so fast, I didn't want to interrupt. So state that for us, so she'll have it in the meetings. And I'm tickled to death that you're here, sir.
I'm Paul Parker, host for City of Luthersville City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
And now somebody mentioned earlier, they said, well, that's the city of Luthersville. That's what they want to do. They want to get in the water business, and they started selling water and started running the line further out and further out and further out. But whoever made those decisions, whether it was before Paul, whatever board it was, if they did not know they're working off a well, they created this problem. So if we all of a sudden start talking about bringing a main line in from Coweta somewhere, it's going to be a big commitment on the city of Luthersville, how much money they're going to put into that too, because this county taxpayers are not going to pay for the line to get ran from there to Luthersville to solve their problems that somebody created without realizing, hey, we're on a well. And everybody knows a well doesn't always last forever. Kind of like water from Coweta. Unless somebody contaminates the lake, you're pretty much going to have water, you know, unless we hit the dam breaks or something. But a well, everybody knows a well can go down, a well can go dry, but yet they continue letting these subdivisions go out there and expand further and further out to sell water. So I just don't want that to become this board's problem because the citizens of Luthersville are having water problems. I care for them, but it cannot become the county's responsibility financially to take care of their well problems. They're going to have to either get grants or come in here too and say, hey, we can provide this, y'all can provide this, can we provide this? And then we all work together as a team to get it done.
So should we let Luthersville go ahead and run their own water line in Coweta County?
If they got the money to do it, why wouldn't you do it? Then tie into that later. Look what they did out there when they brought the landfill in. See, you had boards up here that the landfill people said, you know, hey, we're going to give y'all all this land so you have your own industrial park. See, they're smart, brilliant businessmen. We're going to give you all this land for an industrial park. So they're all excited. We're going to get all this land for an industrial park. Then they turn around and said, y'all need water and sewer to your industrial park. So the county flipped the bill to get all that done, and then all they did is tie into it. So see, that's where it cost a lot of money back then too. So same thing. If Luthersville wants to have water, Coweta County line just up there past Luthersville and Moreland, correct? If they want to bring a line on down there and start on that, they should have already started doing that. If they can do it, it'd be great. And once that line's here, now we could be sitting here talking about, do we want to tie into that line and work a deal to come on through Luthersville and come on down? That's my opinion through development in years, but I'm just one guy sitting here. And I did not mean it that way, Paul, like that's y'all's problem. No, it's our problem technically because those are all tax-paying citizens and their life and their livelihoods depend on water. Water's life. I'm just saying, when you take boards from previous years, make all these decisions, it's finally catching up with them. And now somebody's got to help with the problem, and we got to figure out how.
On paper, we were using 1/3 of our capacity, but that was very obvious in the last couple of years and few years that was not our true capacity. We were well lower than that. So when we started having well power, we did go out.
I agree that Luthersville ought to cost share into this, but
They'd have to.
Luthersville is Meriwether County.
They're a city there.
And both will, if it draws in industry or commercial property, both Luthersville and Meriwether County will benefit it. So it's not just, let's make Luthersville do this project, let's together make this project happen. That's my opinion, that's why I'm sitting on the water authority, wanting to do that.
Well, that's why we'd have to act in concert with the areas up there because we can't
Yes.
expend that kind of money and then, for example, the city of Lucasville act independently then with growth. When we're bringing this in to expand into the whole entire northern end, we can't get it to them first because they're in the biggest need, and then they start tapping on it like crazy, and we can't spread it.
These cities with annexation. Oh, it's great. They don't even think about how it's gonna have water. And I'm sure that's what happened there. I'm sure if the councils were approving these subdivisions and all that, selling water, and nobody thought about it. But that's how important it is, you know?
That's my point.
So yeah, there's one more thing I want to Bill to talk about. We've talked with the Roosevelt Institute about probably taking over their facility, their water treatment plant. And I'll let Bill talk about it because he's been involved in it. And that's another water source that Meriwether County can have extra water from too.
John was approached by this guys at the Institute about the potential or possibility of the water board taking over their system. And I know John was, one thing they mentioned in that meeting with us was that, they've got some really nice recreation facilities over there. So maybe it would win if that worked out, and that county could also possibly make use of their facilities, to do whatever the recreation needs are. So I met with there was 5 people from local all the way up to the Capitol to talk about that, and they are very interested in getting out of water. They just want to be done with it. It's just complicated. That facility over there has, I don't know, 4 or 5 different entities that use the facilities, so it's just a mess trying for them to handle that. The system supplies water to for themselves and also the Roosevelt State Park, and they have an interconnection with the hospital there as a backup supply in case the city of Warm Springs can't supply water to the hospital for some reason. The facilities itself, in 2006, they did a pretty major rehab of their system with all their mains and their water tanks, not water tanks, mains, and getting their fire hydrants all back in shape or new ones put in. 2021, they rehabbed their water tanks. They have 2 water tanks there on site. They actually get their water from the warm spring. I mean, it comes when it's after it's treated and pumped into their system, it's about 80 degrees. And so all that part of the system is good. They had a facilities report done by the state that identified that the actual pump house and the pump and water treatment equipment is in kind of poor condition. And over the next 10 years, probably is going to need I think it was $750,000 worth of work to get it back up to speed. Some of the pumps going out, the treatment facilities need rehab. So that's kind of the only foreseeable really cost that would be associated with the system. What else they got? They have the facility is permitted for 150,000 gallons a day with a maximum of 196,000 gallons a day. The spring itself has been historically measured to pump about 650 gallons per minute. So it works out to about 1 million gallons a day of capacity coming through that spring. So if you look at, right now they're using less than 100,000 gallons a day. If and we're all, just thinking long term what we need here and there. But if we were to take over that as a source, I mean, as a water authority, we could probably have, at least 300 or 400,000 gallons maybe a day of available capacity to ship somewhere else. And, so, you know, no guarantee, you gotta deal with the state, you gotta, you know, but it's heavily developed. So, it's, you know, the possibility that's there. You know, you're looking at the mouth, Warm Springs is still a lot further south than even Woodbury. So does that help us with, you know, situations in the north? Nah, but it's just another potential source of water. Somebody, you know, that has excess water that could be utilized. And the question is, you know, is the county interested in us taking over the system in terms of making, you know, it's part of our water business, and also negotiate some type of use of the recreational facilities or whatever the county feels it needs to make it a win-win situation in that respect. So that's kind of where we are. I thought with Todd Prairie this past weekend, they're still very interested in doing that. They just want to get out of the water business. But, John, you got any?
That's the same conversation I had, it was just, they got the camps, ball field, just a lot of recreation. We took over, you know, managing the water system.
Well, you say they'll,
You probably want to contract that out. That'll be a cost at the county.
so they would turn that over to our recreational department. Yeah.
Possibly for summer camps, ideally, I mean, that'd be student recreation up there. I mean, it's not being used right now.
That includes the old golf course back there.
That's no longer a golf course at all.
Oh, that's where we're gonna
Yeah, and the golf course actually has its own water supply, so I think part of that. And
Is this the city of Warm Springs water system or the
No.
institution? They have their own water system.
Yeah, it's dreadfully funded.
No addition.
Yeah.
They want to get out of the pan.
What we would have to do, we would have to go in and put meters in all the buildings.
thanks for reminding me, Larry. That was the other thing.
Yeah, we'd have to go in and put meters in all the buildings so we could build them for the water.
Yeah.
But like what Bob was saying, there's so many different entities in the institute that, you know, different lots of money, I call it, that, you know, this lot pays them, you know. So it would take a,
Yeah, so that'd be another cost for taking over the system.
and
And there's 20 meters that would be needed. Some are fire meters, some are building meters. But you would have to have that individually metered so that they can charge whoever their clients are for the meter usage. One good thing it would do it would justify the authority to have some personnel. Because right now, all of our, you know, everything we have is subcontracted to different people, and it'd be really kind of nice to have some full-time people that can take care of some of these water, you know, issues that pop up and can monitor our systems. Right now, with just the system we have up in the north part of the county, it really is, we're right on the verge of needing at least one, you know, part-time or full-time person, you know, to handle that, control it. I mean, we're the board, we meet once a month, and with a water system, you need somebody that's on call.
Bill, there's kind of some physical facilities there on the institute that would be ours.
Yeah, you have,
The actual,
you have water tanks, you have
Yeah, okay.
all the infrastructure, you have the water treatment facility, which also has its own treatment tanks there. So, I mean, it would be. I don't know how they would coordinate that, but
They won't sell it, or just y'all take it over?
Well, that's part of the conversation.
Vetted this, it
that,
has to be.
that's.
Conversation, I got, the
be
state wants to turn it over.
Yeah, it
From
sounds,
my initial conversation, the state wants to turn it over to either Water Authority or Warm Springs.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah.
So.
And it'd be nice too if you was able, you talk about all these meters and so forth, if you was able to come back and tell us like, this is how many meters they're gonna need, this is how much water they're using, this is what's the revenue it's gonna generate per month. We need to see those numbers
I
too,
understand.
to understand spending this money over here.
Yeah, and to get those numbers, we're gonna have to hire John and his group to go in and do, you know, kind of reassess the whole system.
Who's monitoring y'all's water out there now that Barry used to go out there and do?
We use J&T service.
So that's somebody y'all's contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
but you know, whoever we hire, whether it's, you know, whoever that is, has got to have a water license.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I just didn't know who y'all had out there. I knew Barry wasn't doing it.
I guess none of us have, well, she does, but none of us have a license. She does.
Yes, on this, Roosevelt thing, if y'all interested in doing it, then,
y'all need to decide what y'all wanna do on the ball, recreational part of it. Cause that would be what y'all wanna get at, if we may take it over the rest of it. It's a two-sided thing and y'all need to negotiate some kind of contract as to with them along with us and negotiate. It's a possibility that we can go back to them and say, we'll take it over, but y'all gotta put meters in there at y'all's expense, and then we're willing to take it over, something like that. And you know, if y'all want the ball fields, I don't know what y'all want a 20-year agreement or whatever, and whoever upkeeps or whatever. That's in between, that's just y'all. We need to together come up with some kind of plan as to what we want out of it in exchange for.
We'd
What
probably
we want them to do for an exchange or what we want out of it.
We'd probably need council to look into that too, like he just said, it's not that
I mean,
simple.
yeah, all
So
this-
we really need to see what all is gonna be involved, what it takes, how many years is it? Are we doing a 50-year deal? Or, I mean, it's not something we're just gonna do and take it
Right.
over and then 5 years from now, somebody else on the board down and wants it back.
I
It's
just wanna know if there's a general appetite to look
Right.
into.
I guess correct.
right.
Well, my question too, when Bob started talking about it, we need some sort of commitment from the institute that they're gonna continue to be there.
That's true too. They take it all over. They're not, and they leave. What are we gonna do with it then? You know?
Yeah, we need something from them saying, hey, we're gonna be here. That's my
Right.
Yeah, there's quite a few things that need to be answered before we. It looks good and it sounds good and the fields and so forth might be able to put some use to them, but I wouldn't let that be the dominating decision maker. The water's the main part. The recreation stuff would just be a bonus, but we'd need to work out the deals.
So if we took it over, we'd have to have assurances it's gonna pay for itself. So there's no,
That's what I'm
there's
getting.
no extra money in the budget to.
No.
Gotta be a reason they wanna get rid of it.
Well, if it was making money, they wouldn't be handing it
Yeah.
out.
That's why you do the study beforehand.
System and want to go out of business, you have to go to the local or something.
I understand what I'm
You
saying.
can't just go out of business and go, hey, we ain't doing water.
I understand that, but I'm
It's
saying.
kind of like an insurance company. When you go out of business, you gotta.
Yeah, but they're doing their own water.
Oh,
They're doing their own water for the institute.
yeah.
Okay, well, you don't go out of business when you don't say I'm gonna get out of the water business when you got an institute that needs to water. So there's something there that needs to be discussed and figure out. I mean,
They tired of fooling with it.
yeah, I know, but they might be. But
Tired of dealing with it. They
Yeah.
want somebody else to deal with it. Be my thought.
It's a little complicated on around.
But it has to be profitable.
Just, you know,
But I mean, can you,
It's the same reason counties don't wanna be in rock business.
Right.
Or
but you
cities.
can't add customers and all, probably, can you?
Yes. But if we take over, we
Yeah,
can.
they can add anything.
Yeah, we.
But I mean, not without running lines and all that,
They're running
correct?
a line north of there.
We could if we want to, yeah. Once we take over this hours and the water capacity is ours, we can do whatever we want to.
as long as we don't exceed
As
the
long as
gallons.
we supply them, on
Yeah.
contract supply what they need.
But I mean, what I'm saying, I guess, is in order to add customers, you're gonna have to spend more money to add
Spend
customers.
more money to send the report out somewhere.
Unless you got a developer who wants to pay for it all.
But we'd have to see if the customers they got now would break even. Then it might be plausible to do. Because they are supplying the little White House and. Yeah, they got. Yeah, different. State park. Do we need commitments from them? You know, they're gonna continue to buy water.
Okay. Any other questions y'all have for us?
I think
I have none.
I'm good. I think it was a great meeting. I'd like to see more.
Starting point, yeah,
What's that?
this is a starting point. for-
Oh, without a doubt.
This discussion.
I'd like to see us add the IDA to the same group.
What's that?
So I'd like to see us add the IDA to the same group because that way we know more about what's coming down the pipeline.
We're gonna have to start about 12 o'clock. We're gonna do that.
That's right. All right, be all day Saturday.
Y'all got any more questions for the forum?
Then y'all can adjourn y'all's and we'll adjourn ours.
The motion to adjourn, I mean,
Motion adjourned.
got a second motion, all in favor, full aye? Yeah. Motion carries.
I'm making a motion to adjourn ours, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor? Motion adjourned.
Yeah.